Welcome to the Adventures in CRE Audio Series. Join Michael Belasco and Spencer Burton as they pull back the curtain on everything commercial real estate and introduce you to some of the top minds in the industry. If you want to take your skills to the next level and be part of a growing community of CRE professionals across the world, this is for you.
Welcome back to the audio series, you guys. We're excited to be here today. We have a really cool subject that we're going to share with you today, and that is why or why not you should get a master's in real estate. And we've done a previous podcast where we talked about getting an MBA. We get a lot of questions from our audience. And so today we're going to talk about these guys' experience and some of their tips and tricks and different things, education on why you should consider a master's in real estate. So I will tip it over to Spencer to get us started.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. This is a topic, as Sam mentioned, that we get asked about a lot. I got a master's in real estate. Michael got a dual MBA and master's in real estate. That was a big decision that we both made almost 10 years ago. Why we went the certain routes we did. I had both the MBA and a master's in real estate as an option. I chose the master's in real estate for a couple of reasons. It was a good, ideal fit for me, less so for others. So there's certain individuals for whom the master's in real estate is ideal. Others, the MBA might make more sense. And so we're going to share kind of our thoughts on that and kick it around. Maybe I'll start with you, Michael. As you were thinking about that decision back in the good old days, why did you include a master's in real estate in your graduate education? What was it about it that appealed to you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was really the deep dive into the subject matter that I wanted to, have a career in. Like I wanted to be in commercial real estate. And so, I was always considering an MBA because that's really like the gold standard in terms of, I would say maximizing your opportunities for job exposure just because it's much more familiar. But the master in real estate allows you to really hyper focus and gain some real expertise in the subject matter. So, really part one of that reason was for that. So I can get a deep dive, as much understanding in an environment where, I don't have to work or do anything other than just focus and really pay attention to that topic, that issue. And then the other piece is the network. So I wanted to make sure that I was closely knit with people who had already decided and committed to going into commercial real estate as well. So that's really was like a foundation for growing my network of peers and people that I could, have conversations with at the same level. We're kind of going through the same stuff. So that really enabled me to jumpstart that network and that relationship. So those are really the two primary reasons I focused on.
What I hear from you, the overarching message is focus. And we've brought this up on quite a few podcasts. So I find it interesting. It's like, there's a power in focus and commitment. It rewires your brain in such a way that you commit to a path, and that path comes around maybe faster or in a more advantageous way than you might expect. And I think that was it in part for me. Is I wanted to focus. Of course, I had already committed to commercial real estate. I'd been in the industry over 10 years by the time I decided to go back to for a master's in real estate. But like being around people who have that similar focus, I totally get it. And I agree with you.
Well,
for me, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just to not go past this particular point too quickly, you both talked about the people that you surround yourself with, that being advantageous. And we've all heard that real estate is a relationship business. Okay. That's an extremely important part of putting deals together, making things happen, whatever the case may be. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, perspective, and experience on how much that has come into play over your last 10 years, both in school as well as in the work environment, what that has meant and what you can share about that.
Yeah. I'll give one, and then I'll let Spencer chime in. Adventures in CRE.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean,
yeah.
Spencer and myself, I mean, we met through that. And we had all the time in the world. We had 2 years of doing the same thing together, relatively in the same classes, getting to know each other. I mean, that's an environment that you can't duplicate elsewhere, generally speaking. And so I would point that. And then I've constantly, I mean, I talk to a lot of my classmates fairly frequently, and it's through the ups and downs. It's much more personal. It's on a, you know, you do the catch up, and you meet a lot of people in real estate anyway, but these are people that you've gone through the trials and tribulations and insecurities of trying to break into the industry. And those people, you kind of have a different level of relationship with. So I'll stop there. I'll kick it over to you, Spencer. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you're spot on. I highly value the relationships that I built at Cornell. So Michael and I did our graduate studies at Cornell, and it gave us such a head start coming out of that, right? So here you have this passionate group of real estate professionals that you spent 2 years with, and you built this relationship, and they kind of become the foundation of your network going forward. And network is so important in real estate. Having that foundation of like high octane individuals who go kind of disperse throughout the country or the world to practice real estate, and knowing that I can pick up the phone or I can send a text message, and every single one of them will respond back immediately because of the bond that was built through that program. And I getting almost philosophical, and I don't mean that, but it's a great benefit. And so I hear of people suggesting, you know, I could learn real estate analysis, real estate marketing, what have you, all the curriculum that you get out of a master's in real estate, I could learn online, and I don't disagree with that. But you can't replicate the relationships and the network that you build in programs like this.
Yeah. Well, now you would get, there are, like, Cornell's unique with its master in real estate program. You know, not all universities have that, and there are some MBA programs that are, you know, very extremely reputable.
Agreed.
You know, Wharton, Wisconsin. I mean, I can go on.
UNC, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, you could we haven't gone through them, but you know, there's the networking and that relationship piece I'm kind of honing in on here, where you probably that in the MBA, but with the master in real estate, just based on my experience having done both, there's just a 100% like immersion, right? Where with MBA, it's getting the foundation. By the way, for me, the MBA and getting the foundational business knowledge was invaluable based on my background, but the deep dive immersion with the master in real estate really, it was really solidified my career trajectory, and with those people in that same trajectory. So, you know, I just want to add that with the networking piece to just say that you probably get that with the MBA too.
It's probably pretty important to have a very good direction of where you want to be post your graduation if you're going to do a master's in real estate, right? So the benefit is, you get to deep dive one particular topic, one category. You get to go deep on it for several years at a great program where you guys went. And then when you come out on the back end, assuming you have a plan, you can, you know, land. I'm assuming it's easier to land a job that way. But if you are thinking of it from a perspective of, I'm not entirely sure if I want to be in real estate, for example, maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I want to be on Wall Street doing something else. You probably ought to have a good idea of where you want to come out in the back end of this.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So that gets to the question of, for whom is a master's in real estate ideal? It's that individual who knows real estate's their career path. And because they've focused on real estate, they can spend 2 years or 1 year. Many masters in real estate programs are 1 year, and that's a whole different benefit that we could talk about on another day. But then you're taking course specific to your discipline. And so rather than taking supply chain management or corporate finance classes that Michael finds really interesting, by the way, he loves to explore all these things that are completely unrelated to real estate, I find incredibly boring. And so when I was looking at options for graduate study, And there were several MBA programs that were an option. In fact, for a while, my number one, I won't name its name, but had a generalist MBA, one real estate class. And I was kind of weighing that one. Great school, but weighing that against the master's in real estate at Cornell. And just the idea of taking some of these generalist MBA classes, and I was older by the time, right? I was kind of early 30s by this point. So it just sounded incredibly boring. And so, but to your point, Sam, it's a commitment, and you gotta be sure that real estate's the path you want to take, because otherwise you may spend a lot of money to only discover. Is there a
scenario where a master's in real estate or even an MBA in the upper echelons of the CRE world, where it's maybe not a prerequisite, or is it pretty much, if you want to get to the upper echelon of your career, that's a box you need to check?
Getting a master in real estate?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I would say it's becoming more of a box these days. It is not the only way to get there. Real estate is becoming much more institutional now and much more sophisticated. Just generally speaking, it's garnered a lot of attention over the last. I mean, the attention's constantly increasing from institutional side and people who come at it with a different bend. But prior to that, it was not very sophisticated. A lot of families would get into it. It was generational. But now, if you want to get into some of the higher echelon or more reputable companies, it's absolutely
required.
One of the check boxes. That's not to say you can't get into real estate and make a name for yourself going many different avenues. I did want to add on to the previous question about the decision to go for the master in real estate and being really pigeonholed, which is, this is kind of dovetailing both these questions, that there's so many avenues you could pursue within real estate, that there's a lot of ways to the top, and there's a lot of decisions to make, even if you go for your master in real estate. You want to be a developer, you want to be asset management, you want to be in acquisitions, you have analysis paralysis in your master in real estate too. So to dovetail both, is there's many avenues to the top, and there's many decisions to make about what career path you want to go within commercial real estate.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I may have overstated the pigeonhole effect of a master's in real estate, because there are a lot of paths, but it's a focus in real estate. So on that other point, is the master's in real estate like a box that you have to check these days? And Michael's totally right. Real estate's becoming more institutionalized. In fact, in the early 80s, less than 1% of capital allocations at institutions were allocated to real estate. Now it's 10%. And I mean, you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars that have been reallocated to real estate from other asset types. And all of those institutions have a tradition of requiring advanced degrees in their professionals. And it's no different in real estate. The other piece about this too, and it's not just for those who want to go into kind of corporate or institutional real estate. In the investor class is becoming more sophisticated. Like even the family offices and the traditional kind of mom and pop investors, they expect more from their sponsors than they used to. And so if you want to go out and start your own thing, there's a lot of value in having a master's in real estate, both in terms of credibility, in terms of what you learn, in terms of the network you build. So I think progressively over time, it's one of those degrees that if you want to compete, you're probably going to have to get. And there's alternatives as well, MBAs in real estate and the like, that act as proxies for it.
So kind of just, I think you guys have made some awesome points. I think in conclusion, what are some parting words about, what people need to know? We've said a lot of good things, and we've got relationships. It gives you a hyper focus, but maybe just anybody considering it, what would be your recommendation or maybe some advice you would give to those people? And we'll start with you, Spencer.
Yeah, well, let me make one other point about the master's in real estate. I think it communicates to employers a commitment to real estate. And Now, if you come with a background in real estate and you go to an MBA, that's a whole different thing. But for those who are career pivoters, a master's in real estate can be a powerful way to communicate to the marketplace that, hey, I have a commitment to this. And so, yeah, I may not have experience.
Good point.
But I committed to do it. Now, to your question around like kind of parting words, and if you're interested in a master's in real estate, it's just about introspection. Like, what do you want for yourself in your career? Where do you want to go? Where have you been today? If you want to end up at an institutional shop, or you want a true commitment to real estate, a master's in real estate is a really good way to do that. It's expensive, but you develop an incredible network. You learn, you get this foundation of knowledge that'll benefit you, and you communicate to investors or future employers a true commitment to the industry. And that's becoming more and more important. Michael?
Well, and before you start, Michael, you're not just paying for just the education, are you?
No, of course not. Yeah.
That's the other piece.
By the way, like my educational cost is my ROI is through the roof.
There you go.
It's been incredibly valuable to my career. Wouldn't change a thing for the world, and I highly recommend it. Yeah.
There you go. Sorry, Michael, didn't mean to interrupt you. Your turn on parting words.
All right. I would echo that sentiment on ROI. My parting words is I want to point people to 2 articles that Spencer and I put on Adventures in CRE discussing why Spencer chose master in real estate, and why I chose the dual, because there's a lot of considerations. It does signal to the market that you are committed to that industry. There's other considerations. If you're a career switcher is one. Part of that is, do you have an end company in mind, right? And see what they are looking for and what they might like. In some companies, MBA is still a gold standard, right? So, really my parting words are to do the research introspectively, the way Spencer put it. And then also, if you have an idea of where you want to go at the back end, try to connect in with those companies and learn a little bit more on what their expectations are and who they're hiring and where they're hiring from. But ultimately, the knowledge you get and the piece of paper that comes with that, no one will ever take that from you. And learning is obviously the biggest investment you can make is education and on yourself. And it's seen thousands of times over. So it's been a wonderful experience for me. I wouldn't, again, like Spencer, trade it for the world.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. This has been fun, informative. Hopefully, if you've been listening, you've gotten a couple of your questions answered. I will say, as we kind of finish up here, we've been doing a lot more of these one-off episodes. That's partially because of the whole coronavirus thing. And so doing season 3 might come later than we anticipated. But in the meantime, we will continue to do these episodes and produce more content. So if you have questions, we'd love to hear them, and we will feature them on the podcast. Until next time, thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Adventures in CRE Audio Series. For show notes and additional resources, head over to www.adventuresincre.com/audio series. Would you like to learn real estate financial modeling in a matter of weeks and do it with zero guesswork? If so, the ACRE Accelerator is for you. The Accelerator is a step-by-step, case-based program designed to teach you exactly what you need to know and in the order you need to know it, so you can gain both the knowledge and experience to take your career to the next level. To see if the Accelerator is right for you, go to www.adventuresincre.com/accelerator.